Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LinkedIn in Collab series. This is where we speak with business leaders, change drivers, and learn from their experiences. Today, we have someone very interesting. We have Shubhra Chaturvedi with us. Shubhra is the VP for Change Management Enterprise-wide Projects at Genpact. Shubhra, welcome to LinkedIn in Collab series. Really looking forward to this conversation and learning about change management from you.
Thank you, Daksh. Thanks for having me over. So, like Daksh said, I'm Shubhra. I'm based out of Gurgaon. And what I do, well, I'm a Process Certified Change Practitioner at Genpact. And I lead the change management practice on all enterprise-wide projects in Genpact. I'm sure all of us know that Genpact is a global professional services firm that makes business transformation real.
So, Shubhra, jumping straight into the conversation, in almost every business conversation that I have today, change management is one of the most important themes for the leaders. So I'm really curious to understand what exactly is change management and why is it so important for businesses today?
So you're right, Daksh, and I would say it's all about the right way to treat your people. How many times have we actually heard organizations say that, employees are our most important and biggest asset? Yet when a change is implemented, employees typically get an email on Monday for a training on Tuesday and the go live happens on Wednesday. That's not the way, and that's actually not the way to treat your people. Therefore, it is important that you get them to be change ready. And how do we get them change ready? By proactively engaging them, by onboarding the change champions, by doing a soft launch, by going towards the change in a very phased manner so that you don't bulldoze your people into change. I believe it is important to begin change at the onset of every project. You should begin the journey far earlier in the project lifestyle cycle. Change is difficult. And I would say you can actually deliver by employing the project management team to deliver the technical side of the change, but the people side of the change only happens through the change management practice. Therefore, to answer your question, Daksh, change management is an enabling framework that drives the people side of the change on any and every project, I would say. And so if you experience considerable resistance to your project, then the answer lies in change management. As Process study says, the likelihood of meeting project success is 6x times more bound to be there if you're employing change management, and 2x times more to be within the budget constraints only if change management is happening on your project. And just 2 cents, I would say, on why the people side of the change is important. See, change is a process, we all understand, and people do need to understand why the changes happen. You can't flip a switch and you expect people to know what is changing and why, what do they need to do in order to change. You need to actually transition them from the present current stage to the future stage. When it comes to people, I would say, change management actually helps drive the entire change. And basis my experience, I can tell you, as long as you can explain to the people the whim of the change, what's in for me, why is the change happening, how does this change impact me? So basically the what, why, and how of the change, you will be able to move far more seamlessly in driving the entire change, which is expected as an outcome of the project that you're working on. And by we follow the ATCA model, which is first we focus on the awareness and the desire for change. Then comes the entire ability, the knowledge, how to apply that change. And you can sustain the change by reinforcing the change through various trainings, webinars, etc. And of course, measuring the change through the various leader dashboards and the people scorecards that we talk about.
Shubhra, love the answer, especially the example of mail on Monday and go live on Tuesday. That is so good. And how you shared that change management can actually lead on to impact the bottom line of an organization as well. So Shubhra, the second question being, Genpact is a large organization. It's spread across different geographies, servicing different clients from different industries. So while you're leading these kind of changes, you would be working with different stakeholders. So I'm curious to understand, typically internal for enterprise-wide projects, who are the key stakeholders that you work with and how do you go about getting their buy-in?
So that's great question, I would say. So we work with almost most of the personas, like the product teams, the end users, the CXO teams, the CXO group, I mean, and of course the external vendors. In fact, all of them. And I would suggest, and that's been a recent learning that I've acquired, actually the change management should start working along with the product development team. When there's any product development journey that's getting embarked upon, the two teams should work hand in hand from the onset of the product development journey, because you will be able to land the change. One, in the entire change will be highly intuitive, it will be easy to adopt, it will happen so much in the user journey that tomorrow when the product goes live, at that last moment you don't have to onboard the change management team and their efforts and make it a push. It should rather be a pull effect if the product that is being launched is extremely user friendly, and that expertise will be able to bring in by the change management team. So we should begin sooner the better in any product development journey, the change management efforts.
Absolutely. In fact, considering that change management team works a lot closer than probably the product team with the end users. So constantly getting their feedbacks, having them involved since the beginning makes a lot of sense. So Shubhra, you have been driving these kind of projects internally since a long time. Typically, while driving these projects, what is the biggest challenge that you see?
In these years of experience that I've acquired, I would say it is the stakeholder alignment and sustaining the change. These are the two most difficult, I would say, difficult areas or difficult segments that we chance upon as we drive change management on multiple projects within the organization. And I think the only way to get around this is to ensure that you have a leadership buy-in and the stakeholder alignment at the start of the project. The way we have tried to overcome this is that we reach out one-on-one to our key stakeholders, to our key leadership group. We take the project charter to them. We try and incorporate the inputs that they give us so that they feel an equal part of the project. They are the ones, we put them in the driver's seat and say, okay, how do you think we should be driving this? So that's when you are able to tide over the entire issue of getting a difficult stakeholder to buy in, or a leadership resistance to the entire project going live. So that this really helps you. And on the second point that I touched upon, sustaining the change. So once the change has landed, it is important that it sticks. And we need to track adherence to this change through publishing dashboards, scorecards, adoption scorecards, and telling people where we are in this journey.
Thanks a lot, Shubhra. The idea of having poster boys across the user group is an amazing one. And as you mentioned, sustaining change is probably the more difficult thing, because if you can make it a part of day-to-day workflow of an end user, I think that's a big indication of a battle won. So Shubhra, we also had the opportunity to work together on the implementation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator across Genpact's entire sales team. So that was a big project spanning across different geographies, functions. Would love to understand your journey about that and how did you went about bringing change?
So I would say relationships and connections have never been new to Genpact. We've always had a central team to facilitate this for our front end teams. In fact, Sales Navigator has actually played an integral role within our sales environment, and therefore, I would say it was obvious to grow and evolve in this journey with you and the group. And now with the Sales Navigator Team Link Extend, we are empowering our front end teams to access the power of the collective relationships of Genpact, and therefore it aids them to connect and view and access the connections. And to answer your question, how did we go about it? So I would say the first thing that we did with a strong case for change, we reached out and sought leadership buy-in, leadership sponsorship, and advocacy. And thankfully, by God's grace, we immediately got a very strong support from our leadership group to drive this change. So that actually took care of the first problem. Secondly, along with this, so this was happening as part of one track. The other track, we focused on creating videos, collaterals, conducted fireside chats with some of our folks who've actually led this from the front, how they have adopted. So picking up their use case journey as a case study. At the same time, we also infuse this entire gamification bit. Whoever is doing the first and the best obviously gets recognized, gets rewarded. So all of this obviously led to drive the adoption on this entire engagement. And this was done alongside with the help of the project team as well. So together the team were able to crack the code.
Thanks a lot, Shubhra. So, Shubhra, at LinkedIn, what we see is change management is one of the fastest growing skills, and it's also one of the most in demand skills right now. So, for anyone who aspires to who aspires to join this function, and for anyone who has spent decent amount of time in this function and are probably looking for their next play right now, what would be your advice to both of these people?
And I would say, as long as you have a passion to drive the change and you have a great pulse on people, these are super important ingredients. With a background, I think in HR or in L&D, definitely is an icing on the cake. Coupled all of this with the change management certifications, sky is your limit. You will be able to, create milestones in your career, and you will just enjoy the way I do. I love the work that I do day in and day out. It's an awesome journey.
And Shubhra, for anyone who has spent some time in this field and are looking for the next play right now, what would your advice be for them?
So, well, if you have achieved your mojo, I would say in driving the change management practice on enterprise-wide projects, and you want to now take these learnings to the next level, I would suggest it's important to get in front of your clients. It's going to give you, an extreme, I would say an aha moment, just driving the change ready culture for your multiple global clients. It's going to be an immense learning for you, and the knowledge working alongside in a different culture setup in just driving this change for your clients is going to be the next big milestone that you will be able to achieve in your career.
Thanks a lot, Shubhra. It was an absolute pleasure spending time with you. You have gone through an absolutely inspirational journey, starting from HR, then pivoting towards change management. Thanks a lot for your time today.
Absolutely. Pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much, Daksh. Look forward to another catch up. Thanks. Bye bye.